All right, so as you can see, this one is going to be kind of a catch-all sheet. A little bit of everything is going to get done on it. First thing we're going to do is put the lifter cover on. Now, if you recall, the lifter cover is the cover that goes over the top of where our lifters and our valve springs are in there. Okay. Now, some jackwagon, me, didn't take this gasket off. Okay. So I'm going to get the gasket scraper and finish taking it off for us right now. Maybe I can get off my fingers. Maybe I can get off my fingers. I get part way off. I'll finish it in a second. Now, oh, right here. So who's a jackwagon to run off with it? It was me. It was me, friends, in case you're wondering. That's the problem with not having any kids here to blame it on. You know, I can't, you know, freaking Jacob did it or somebody. You know, nope, Mr. Groom blew it himself. That a boy, freaking dummy. Okay, remember this goes over here like so. Extra hole goes over this piece right here. Do I have a gasket for it? You better believe I do, pal. Oh, fart, you can't even see that. Darn it! Well, you didn't miss anything. Hey, look, friends. Lifter cover goes here. Aight. Now, let me get out the lifter cover gasket here. Yeah, nice. All right, there it is, babe. Boom. Fits over just like so. And remember, this extra hole goes over this piece right here, like thus. Okay. Now, you may or you may not remember, but if you don't remember, I'm going to learn you about it. This extra little piece of tin bolts on right here, along with that cover. It's awful nice of that stupid thing to hiss at us while I'm doing this. I appreciate that. Alright. Let me get a 1/4 inch here. Oh, for the love of George! Bring off my 1/4 inch. Here I am. Here's an extension. There's too much crap on this counter, to be quite honest with you. Alright, snug those up again. There's no torque spec for this because, you know, just a little snuggish. This is what I prefer actually to use a nut driver for because there's no need to get carried away with it at all. None. None. Okay? So, a couple other things that it mentioned that it wanted us to do was to install the intake tube. Intake tube sits here, pops out this way. Here's a new gasket for it. Beautiful. Listen, it's very similar to putting a puzzle together. You're like, that doesn't quite fit. Do they have a slightly different shaped one, Mr. Groom? That like would maybe fit better, I feel like. I feel like this one fits better, I feel like. So I'm going to use that one. There's just this little extra piece of metal on this particular one. It sticks out kind of funny. And as a result, it doesn't want to sit there. Now, oopsie daisy. Pro tip. Sometimes it's better to put the gasket on the thing that you're putting on. Sometimes it's better to put it on what you're putting it onto. Really depends on the situation. But in this case, it didn't really want to sit there too good. We would have ways of making it sit there, you know, if we had to. We can go get some what's called gasket cinch. Kind of a glue of sorts. You can kind of glue it on. Kind of a glue. It would kind of help hold it in place while you're getting everything else taken care of. You know, that's one thing you could do. But something this small, typically not that big a deal. Just get her down. Now be careful, you don't want to overdo these for sure. It's a very small bolt, number one. It's also plastic. Number two, that little tube is. You wouldn't want to break it. However, it has to be tight enough that it doesn't suck in air around it. If it sucked in extra air around it, what would end up happening is you would end up getting more air than you need, and the engine would run lean, and that would cause some problems for us, of course. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to do a couple things here. We also need to get the crankcase breather on, which is right here. Remember, this is the breather that allows the escaped gases to get past the rings into the crankcase. They'll come back up into the valve chamber in here where the valves sit, and they will come back through here and be sucked back into the engine and reburned. Okay. Before we get carried away, our linkage for our or a governor needs to be put on at this point. Okay. And let's see, can we do it? I think so. That goes on like thus. Slide it on, slide this piece on like so. Yes, yes, yes. Yes! Okay, now remember this extra piece on this kind, okay, it's got the little spacer in there. You don't forget to lose the spacer. Other ones don't have this extra piece of tin. They will all have the spacer that helps to hold it out. If you don't use the spacer and you crank it down too tight, what ends up happening is you end up breaking either the gas tank knob or you'll break part of the block, either one of which would just really not make me happy. You want to see Groom pissed off? Do that. Don't do that, because I don't like being mad. I don't like being angry. Woo! And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Okay? So I'll go ahead and snug these babies up. And no, and maybe. 3/8. Yes. Oops, daisy. And I need a halfer for this fella. Got it. Okay. And remember, our spring just connected on thus on here like so is not like the most optimal scenario, but it's not bad either. Okay. It does snap it back like it's supposed to, so I'm not going to get all weirded out about it. Okay. You know, whatever. Cool. Nice. Now, we need to know what our spark plug gap is and our armature air gap are. So, our armature, remember, is the coil piece. So I'm going to write this down. We have a two-legged one, and it's a 10 series. So it should be 6 to 10 thousandths. Now, I say 6 to 10, but there's also this guy here, right? So you're like, well, which one is it, Mr. Groom? Is it this one or this one? We're going to set it on the higher end. We're going to set it right around 10, maybe about 9, and we should be good to go. You'll notice that most of the 10 alphas are up here, so I think it's closer to that. So I'm going to try to set it right around 9 thousandths for that. Let's go down just a little bit more, and I think we'll find our spark plug gap. Oh, maybe. No, no, no. Oh, no. Well, piddly diddly fiddly. Piddly diddly. Oh, I thought it was in... Didn't he say chapter 2? I thought it was in chapter 2. But whatevs. Oops, come back. Come back, you hippie. Spark plugs. Page 3. Aha. Spark plugs, 30 thousandths. So that's just what I would have guessed. But okay. So let's start off with our plug. We'll go do plugs first here. Because I got it in my hand, because why not? 30 thousandths is 28, 13, 14, 15. Where is 30, dog? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30. There's 30. Okay. So I'm going to slide it in here. See how well it fits in there. Doesn't fit very well. You can see it's pretty smashed down. Okay, so we have a tool for that. We'll go fetch it up. So there's a couple ways to do this. We have a specialty tool that does it. Okay, and I have to pause for a minute so I can find the dumb thing because apparently it's going off on me. Okay, and nope, here it is. Okay, so a lot of our newer plugs these days don't have this adjustable ground strap piece here. They're set from the factory and you can't fool with them. But this tool here, you catch onto it like so, and you just lean back on it and bend it out. Okay, that will increase the gap. for closing the gap, and I'll show you what to do with closing the gap in a second. Now it just slides in there, but if that was too big a gap, then what I would do is come over and I would put my feeler gauge inside the gap and push down against the table gently, and I would close the gap that way. Okay? This tool, if you don't have this tool, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. What a guy can do is gently, and I mean gently, you can, if you have a small pair of needle nose, you can stick in there and bend it out, just pry it up just a little bit. Get a tiny little pick in there and pry it up. Never, ever, 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 ever pry on the electrode. That's the little piece that sticks out the bottom of there. Don't ever pry on that. You will break it. Okay, so don't do that. 30 thousandths. Okay. Also, as you're putting this in, a little bit of never sees is nice on the threads. You'll thank me. They'll come out nicely when you're done. Okay. Another thing, while I got the never sees out, I'm gonna go ahead and put the muffler on as well. I'm just gonna hand tighten the muffler because I'm taking it off again next year. If this was my actual lawnmower one, I'd probably still just do hand tight. But if I really want to snug it up a little bit, and again, you don't want to, but a pair of water pump pliers would work. A pair of water pumps or a pipe wrench would be, some of the ones I would choose to do there. Let's go check out the torque is for that. Oh, it doesn't give it here. I'll go find it. I gotta check something else anyways. Hang on. Okay, so 15 foot-pounds is what they suggest for the torque spec. And now I need a different torque wrench. The little one doesn't have the right size socket for it. Okay, and there's the right socket. Remember, take note when you're putting one of these on, you're torquing them down, make sure that you are, no, for God's sakes, you can't see me again. Okay, when you're doing these, make sure, as you're doing them, that you keep the socket straight. Come on, you're there. Just beep already. There you go. What you don't want to do is get the socket kind of sideways. You can bust the top of the spark plug off. So not cool if you did that. Okay. Now, the armature gap we wrote down. Remember, that's the coil. Okay.